Okay. So students, I hope you all are back after the break. So we have discussed scope of audit, what is included and what is not included before the break. Now quickly have a look at this first test your understanding given in your module, page number 1.13. I need replies from all of you. So Lalji Bhai has purchased shares of company listed on NSE. The audited financial statement of the company provide picture of a healthy financial performance having robust turnover, low debt and good profits. On the above basis, he is absolutely satisfied that money invested by him is safe and there is no chance of losing his money. Do audited results and audit reports of companies provide such assurance to investors like Lalji Bhai? Is thinking of Lalji Bhai correct? Quickly send in your replies. Just write the keywords. And what keywords should be there in your answer? Okay, so many of you have written no. Tell me the reason also. Yes, Ashna is saying because auditor can obtain what? The audited financial statements gives what? Reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance. See, he say on the basis of above, he is absolutely satisfied that the money invested by him is safe and there is no chance of losing his money. So is audit a guarantee? No, because auditor gives what? A reasonable assurance. Let us just quickly have a look at the answer that is given at the end of this chapter. So for your test, your understanding, the answers are given at the end of the chapter. Students, please mute yourself. Kiran Bala, please mute yourself. So,
Ma'am, I'm muted.
okay. So, and this was the point that we were discussing. So, an audit does not provide assurance to investors in shares regarding safety of his money. Share prices of securities are affected by a range of factors. An audit only provides reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Hence, thinking of Lalji Bhai is not correct. I hope it is clear to all of you. Absolutely correct. Manish, Elvina, Gunjan, Ritu, Isha, Swati, absolutely correct. Right? So I hope it is clear. Now let us have a look at second question, which is given on page number 1.13. So students, if you have any query, just send in the chat box. Please do not unmute yourself. So this Good Deeds Limited. Good Deeds Limited is engaged in business of recycling of waste from dumping grounds of Municipal Corporation of Indore to usable manure. It is in this way also helping to make the city clean. During the course of audit by Zoha and Zoha firm of auditors, it is observed by auditors that a company has received a notice from Central Bench of National Green Tribunal for not following certain environment regulations involving imposition of hefty monetary penalty on the company. The company is yet to reply to the notice. The auditors point out that same is not stated in notes to accounts in financial statement. The company point out that auditors are going beyond scope of their work. Does such a matter fall within scope of audit? Quickly send in your replies. Quickly send in your replies. So see, if any such hefty monetary penalty is there, then disclosure is required, right? Now, whether the disclosure requirements, considering whether the financial statement have proper disclosure or not as per the statutory requirement. So whether that is outside the scope of audit or it falls within the scope. So this is the question. So let us just have a look at the answer. So it is what within the scope, because disclosure requirement is considering whether the financial all the information is properly disclosed or not, that is required, as we have seen when we were discussing what scope of audit. So let me just take you through the answer. So proper disclosure of financial information is well within the scope of audit. I hope it is clear. So Arin, Yugender, Swati, Anmol, Grace, yes, absolutely correct. Gunjan, absolutely correct. The next question, in fact, the last question before we start with a very important topic. So again on page number 1.13. So this third, test your understanding third. So a huge fire broke out in Noida plant of KT Limited. Plant assets comprising building, machinery and inventories were insured from branch of a public sector insurance company. Apart from insurance surveyor, who was deputed for assessing loss, the regional office of insurance PSC also appointed a CA for verification of books of accounts, financial records of company and circumstances surrounding the loss. He was also requested to submit an early report. Would the report by CA in the nature of audit report? I'll wait for your replies. Quickly send in your answers for test your understanding third. So for all those who are saying it is in the nature of investigation, the answer is correct. Quickly tell me how you are able to know, like from what points you are able to understand that it is not audit but investigation. Yes, Abhijit is saying it is specific purpose, for specific purpose, which is correct. Yes. Miss Ghosh, it is for specific purpose, correct. See, let us have a look at the answer. See, whenever you go through test your understanding from your module, just first of all, try to, answer to the question on your own. Then look at the answer which are given at the back. The purpose of giving the answer at the back is this only, na? Because if the answer is given there only, you will just have a look at the answer and you will not solve it on your own. So appointment of CA for verification of books of accounts, financial records and circumstances surrounding the loss is for specific objective to determine genuineness of loss and any issue affecting liability of insurance company. It is an investigation and not in the nature of audit report. Anna, because see, it is mentioned that verification of books of accounts is there, which is also there in what your audit. But then it also says, and circumstances surrounding the loss, which is what which is what for a specific purpose, right? So is it clear? So is it clear? So let us start with the next topic, which is a very important topic, which is what your inherent limitations of audit. Inherent limitations of audit. So when you are saying, ma'am, good to go. Chalo. See, what is meant by inherent? Inherent. Quickly send in your replies. Inbuilt. Absolutely correct. Unavoidable. Absolutely correct. So inbuilt. Right? So inherent limitations of audit. Okay, students, now as I always tell you that my focus is making you understand, plus like making you understand the concept, plus making you understand as to how to learn after understanding. See, audit is what? Auditor is applying audit procedures on financial statements. Financial statement is what? It is, you can say, financial reporting only. When the financial information is reported, I can say, in other words, financial reporting. So whatever is the nature of such audit procedure is one of the limitations of audit. Whatever is the nature of such financial reporting becomes another limitation of audit. Hana? If you remember, we have understood this with the concept of sample. I explained it to you before the break that auditor obtains only reasonable assurance. Why? Not absolute. Though reasonable is what? A high level of assurance. Because one example was what? That auditor conducts the audit on a sampling basis. Hana? It might be possible that in the items that are not selected for checking, there is some misstatement which is material. Right? Right? So this is what nature of audit procedure. The nature of audit procedure is there that some kind of risk is inbuilt in such procedure. This kind of sampling risk is what? Inbuilt in the process of selecting the samples. So it is inbuilt. Hana? So try to understand. So it basically says that the auditor obtains only reasonable assurance. And students, you will be covering a topic of audit risk in the next chapter, in the third chapter, I think. So audit risk. So it says that auditor cannot reduce the audit risk to zero. So for the understanding of this chapter, let me just tell you what is audit risk. See, when the auditor gives an inappropriate opinion, when financial statements are materially misstated, in simple language, that there is some misstatement in the material misstatement in the financial statement, but auditor gives an opinion that financial statement reflect a true and fair view. This is what audit risk. And this risk, auditor will try to reduce such risk, right? If auditor is giving an expert opinion, see, audit risk will be there because this is inherent, because of inherent limitations of audit. But auditor will try to reduce such risk. Clear? But this risk cannot be reduced to zero. Or in other words, auditor obtains only reasonable assurance. See, if auditor would have obtained absolute assurance, 100% assurance, complete assurance, which in other terms, I can say what? Audit risk is zero. But that is not possible. Why? Because of inherent limitation of audit. So if I ask you that why auditor is able to obtain only reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, so the answer will be because of the inherent limitations of audit. Or if I ask you why audit risk cannot be reduced to zero, because of inherent limitations of audit. Is it clear? So these are inbuilt. This is the very nature of the audit process or the financial statements on which the audit procedures are applied. The nature is such that there will be certain kind of risk. Clear? So there are 5 points. Let us do all those points one by one. So I hope you all are able to understand this. So SA 200, you all know, is overall objectives of independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with standards on auditing. So the auditor is not expected to and cannot reduce audit risk to zero. I hope it is clear. Because there are inherent limitations of audit. What are the inherent limitations? See, I told you, first 2 points are related to what? Audit procedure, which the auditor applies on what? The financial reporting. So the nature of financial reporting and the nature of audit procedures. What is mentioned there? That we'll discuss. First, just have a look at the 5 points. Not in the nature of investigation. Audit is not investigation. Hana? timeliness of financial reporting and decrease in relevance of information over time. What is to be mentioned there? I'll just discuss. And future events. Okay. So let me just take you through the module for discussing this. Just a minute. So we are on page number 1.14. Inherent limitations of audit. So just an idea I've given you, Hannah, by telling you that audit procedures are applied on, you can say, financial statements which are a result of financial reporting. So the nature of audit procedure and the nature of financial reporting, these are 2 points. So why the nature of financial reporting? See, we have discussed each and everything what is mentioned here. When we were discussing earlier topics, you will see this is nothing new. See, nature of financial reporting. Who prepares the financial statement? It is the management. So when the financial statements are prepared, many judgments are involved. Many subjective decisions are there. See, provisions are made. The percentages of provision. What accounting policy to follow. How to value the inventory. What useful life to be taken. So these are what subjective decisions where there is higher degree of uncertainty, right? So for the auditor, is it not possible to obtain what absolute assurance? Because see, management has made certain judgment based on their assumptions. That assumption might change. Let's say management has made a provision of 10% for a debtor, and later on there is where that debtor is situated, some tsunami, some natural disaster is there, and 100% of that debt becomes bad debt. Now this is what the provision was made on the judgment of the management. So it is what subjective decision, which is what uncertain. So auditor cannot obtain what absolute assurance, right? Also, see, students, we have discussed that preparation and presentation of financial statement is the responsibility of management. Also, design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control is the responsibility of the management. Let's say one internal control is implemented. Now, when the auditor is conducting the audit, he studies, he makes the assessment of accounting system. Plus, if he intends to rely on the internal control, he make an assessment of the internal control also. Now, let's say there is an internal control that whenever any purchase bill is being paid, that must be signed by any person from the goods receiving section. That is, first of all, the goods must have been received. There should be a sign of the person who have received it. Then only the accountant will make a payment. Now, if there is a collusion between the accountant and that person who is stamping from the goods receiving section, if there is a collusion, now whether auditor will be able to become aware about that? No. Why? It might be possible that he has relied on the internal control. So this is itself a limitation of internal control on which the auditor might decide to rely. So this is one of the limitation of internal control itself, right? So in these 2 points, in the first point, nature of financial reporting, first part is what? That preparation and presentation of financial statement is by management, whereby many judgments are made, subjective decisions are made, which are uncertain, right? And this paragraph says that if auditor relies on internal control, then there are inherent limitations of internal control also. And example is given of what? Purchase bills. So because of this, this becomes what? A limitation, inherent limitation for the audit process, and audit risk cannot be reduced to zero. An auditor obtains only what? Reasonable assurance. Now, how to learn? You may get a question that how nature of financial reporting becomes an inherent limitation. So you just keep in mind that this part is divided into 2 parts. First of all, management is responsible for preparation, presentation of financial statement. There are certain limitations of that process. Secondly, internal control ka there are certain inherent limitations. You need to discuss about those 2 points. Okay? Quickly, you do one thing. Quickly, just go through this nature of financial reporting from the module, and then tell me that with respect to this point, the discussions we have had so far, Hana, are you able to understand, and are you able to just tell yourself that okay, these are the 2 points that I'm going to write in the paper. Quickly just go through your module. If you have the module, it is on page number 1.14, and otherwise I have shared the screen with you. Quickly, students. Quickly, please. See, students, I'm repeating it. And in fact, many of you are also saying that, ma'am, in fact, one student was saying that, ma'am, I was not able to give 100% to my September exam. See, in audit subject, it often happens that you are able to understand the topic. But when it comes to writing, now you fall short of word, or you just give general answers, which do not give you good marks. Hana? So just register these 2 points. Now, just take example of nature of financial reporting. And just tell yourself that, okay, whether you are able to visualize as to what is to be written, right? Right, Abhijit, you are correct. And there is no tricky language again. Tricky, why? Because many, 1 or 2 students have written that, ma'am, we get confused with tricky language. See, such a simple language. Keywords, if you pick, you are, see, judgments or subjective decision, uncertainty, absolute assurance. These are what keywords. And these are the normal English that we just generally also use. So that can be written. So quickly, just go through this point. What is my purpose of giving you 1 or 2 minutes to read through the module? I want you people to become confident that yes, we can write the answers in our exams. Quickly go through this paragraph and tell me whether you are able to understand as to what to write. Abhijit, you are absolutely correct. Students, I am waiting for your replies. And see how to summarize. See, ample space is there. You can always make your notes in your language, keywords, or you can just use a highlighter, or you can just circle the points. See what is the help of highlighting or making summaries. When you're, first of all, it helps you in better learning. Then it helps you in revision also. When you will be having your exam, you will be having, let's say, 1 day off. So you'll be able to revise. It will give you a bird's eye view, which is going to help you to revise the entire course without missing anything important. See, and Mole is saying, ma'am, please explain internal control wala point again. See, let's say there is a company, again ABC Limited, and there are lakhs of transactions. Okay? I'm explaining this internal control wala point. Now, with respect to purchases, auditor decides to rely on internal control. Now, what is internal control? I'm assuming that this is clear to you. It is basically what the controls that the management applies. Management designs, implements, and maintains, right, in order to ensure that certain misstatements do not happen in the organization, in the preparation of financial statements. Now, when there are lakhs of transactions, so when the auditor is determining his overall strategy, audit strategy, he determines that, okay, we will rely on the internal control. When will auditor decide to rely? When he has an understanding about the internal control, that they are okay, they are operating effectively, right? So when the auditor was checking the purchases, he relied on internal control. What was the internal control that the company implemented? One of the internal controls was that any payment will be done with respect to any purchase bill by the accountant only when that purchase will is been signed by a person who has received the goods. The goods should have been received. Goods receiving section. है ना? But let's say there is a collusion between the accountant and the person who is there at the goods receiving section. And even without getting the goods, that person is signing and that accountant is making fake payments. Clear? Now, this is what? This is a deficiency in internal control, which management has implemented and on which auditor has relied. Now, when the auditor assessed the internal control, he checked the internal control again on sample basis, right? Maybe this was left out when he was checking. But since management has made the internal control and management itself can override such internal control, so this becomes what? One of the inherent limitations of internal control, right? So, since internal control can also be overridden by the management, by the collusion of employees, so that is why the nature of financial reporting is such that it becomes one of the inherent limitation of audit. So is it clear? Is it clear? Because financial reporting, when the management has prepared financial statements, management has relied on its internal control. And in turn, auditor is also relying when he's selecting his audit procedures, how his extent of checking. Hana? So is it clear? So Anmol is saying, ma'am, clear. Satyam is saying, ma'am, clear. Swati, is your doubt clear? Right? Then the second is what? Nature of audit procedures. Nature of audit procedures. Now, it says that there are certain practical and legal limitations when the auditor obtains audit evidence. See, auditor expresses his opinion based on the audit evidence that he obtains. And there are certain practical and legal limitations. Practical limitations, we have seen that he tests sample. So I gave you example like this, if you remember, that let's say he checked this transaction, but he left all these transactions and there is a mistake here only, misstatement, which is material. So this is what? One of the sampling risk only. So in turn, it is what? One of the limitations which is inherent to the process of audit. Because practically it is not possible. See, it is mentioned here. For example, an auditor does not test all transaction and balances. He forms his opinion only by testing samples. It is an example of what? Practical limitation on the auditor's ability to obtain audit evidence. Okay? So this was an example of practical limitation. Now consider a situation where management is not providing the auditor with the complete information. Now tell me, if management is not providing the auditor with complete information, can auditor force the management ki just provide me with the information? Yes, auditor can ask, can request the management to provide the information, but auditor cannot force management to provide it with complete information. What is the option available to the auditor? He can just report it in his audit report that so and so information was not given by the management. So this is what? Legal limitation. Because legally, what is the right available to the auditor? Just to report. He cannot as such force, because we have seen in investigation, auditor is not having any specific power of search or examining any witness on oath. So this is what? A legal limitation. Is it clear? Is it clear? So again, and we have seen that authentication of documents we cannot, since audit, the very nature of audit procedures is such that auditor is not expected to see whether a document is authentic or not, because he is not an expert in that field. Further, there can be certain transactions which are entered into with a related party. Let's say, just take an example. For example, when students will be doing SA 505 external confirmation, you will see that auditor can send confirmation request to the debtors or the creditors. Now, what if the debtor or the creditor is a related party? Tell me. In that situation, if that is a related party, chances are there that auditor may not get the answer which he has asked for. Chances are there that the management and the related party, they collude and manipulate the replies to the confirmation request. So the nature of audit procedure is such that it is not auditor cannot consider the authentication of documents. Or in such situations, the nature of audit procedures, see, this is one of the audit procedure now. So nature is such that this becomes one of the inherent limitations of the process of audit. And since it is inherent limitation of audit, the audit risk cannot be reduced to zero. See, related party is there. Management doesn't tell the auditor that this is a related party. Related party is also quiet on this. Now, how will auditor know? Clear? Right, Abhijit, if management refuses to give certain information, then it basically says, okay, everything is agreed in the engagement letter. But okay, let's say management say, no, I'll not give the information. What is the option available? What is the legal remedy available to the auditor? Just to report in the financial statement. Na? He cannot, in the audit report, na? He cannot as such force the management, na? Because this is not investigation. He's not having any powers as are required in as are there in official investigation. Clear, Abhijit? Yes. Whatever you have written is correct. Anmol, yes. You see, if the circumstances required, the auditor can always withdraw from the engagement. Absolutely correct, right? So just quickly go through this. Then we'll be this third point we have already covered, that it is not in the nature of investigation. Audit is not an official investigation. Auditor cannot obtain absolute assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement due to fraud and error. See, your purpose is what? Because of nature of financial reporting, auditor cannot obtain absolute assurance. Because of nature of audit procedures, auditor cannot obtain absolute assurance. Because it is not in the nature of investigation, auditor cannot obtain what? Absolute assurance. Yes, Swati, you are absolutely correct. Opinion, the auditor can see what kind of opinion can be given. Correct? So the fourth point is timeliness of financial reporting and decrease in relevance of information over time. See, the financial statements, let's say these are financial statements are closed on 31st March, right? After that, the auditor has certain time limit. Let's say on 30th September, the financial statements are to be issued, right? They are to be submitted to the ROC. So auditor has certain time within which the audit is to be completed. Further, let us take an example. Let's say XY and Associates were the auditors of ABC Limited for the last 2 years also. Now they have certain information which they used in the last year, but now in the third year, they are deciding to rely on that information. But now in the third year, the circumstances have changed. So the relevance of the information has reduced over time now. And it is not possible to work on same matter again and again. Why? Because there is certain time limit within which the audit is to be completed. Why? Because of the financial reporting. That is, the financial statements are to be issued or the financial statements are to be submitted to the ROC. There is a time frame. So financial statement are to be submitted or issued. Say, I mean audited financial statement. See, the relevance of information decreases over time and auditor cannot verify each and every matter. Therefore, a balance has to be struck between the reliability of information and cost of obtaining it. Consider, for example, an auditor who is conducting audit of a company since last 2 years. During these 2 years, he has sought detailed information from management of company regarding various matters. During the third year stint, he chooses to rely on some information obtained as part of audit procedures of second year. However, it could be possible that something new has happened and that information is now not relevant. So the information being relied upon by auditor is not timely and may have lost its reliability. So because of this, again, it becomes one of the inherent limitation of audit, and audit risk cannot be reduced to zero, or I can say that auditor obtains only reasonable assurance. See, when you will understand na, that, okay, because of this point, na, assurance is just what? Reasonable. Because chances are there that auditor may give an inappropriate opinion, though financial statements were materially misstated. Audit risk cannot be reduced to zero. Then you will be able to link it to the purpose why we are studying this point. Last is what? Future events. See, students, the financial statements are based on what? Going concern assumption. Hai? So it deals with what? Based on the assumption that the business will continue for a foreseeable future. Now, the future events are something which are uncertain, beyond the control of anyone. So the business may cease to exist in future due to change in market condition, emergence of new business models, products, or due to onset of some adverse events. Therefore, in view of the above factors, the auditor cannot provide a guarantee that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud and error. How future events? Let's say auditor gives an opinion that financial statement reflected true and fair view, and the next day tsunami comes and everything is destroyed. The entire business or some changes in government policies are there, and the company is stopped from exporting its product. Let's say the company used to export the products and earn its revenue. Now there has been some ban on the export the very next day, like when the auditor issued the report the very next day, or let's say after a month. So this is what future event, which is beyond the control of the auditor or the management. So this becomes what one of the inherent limitation. That means that audit risk cannot be reduced to zero. What was audit risk? I told you that auditor gives an inappropriate opinion when the financial statement are materially misstated. So what is the what is the inappropriate opinion in our example? Auditor said that financial statement reflected true and fair view, though there was a uncertainty with respect to going concern, which was not disclosed in the financial statement. But auditor didn't point out why, because at that moment when the auditor gave his opinion, there was no such condition. Why? Because future events are what? Uncertain. So is it clear that why future events become one of the inherent limitations of audit? Quickly send in your replies. See, cost of obtaining information, Abhijit, it basically says the time that will be involved in doing that process again and again. The manpowers, Hana, in the form of the time, the resources that will be utilized. Clear? So, Muskan, Ritu, Sunil, Swati, Om Krishnan, Omkar, everyone is saying, ma'am, clear. Bhumika. Sure. ठीक है. So let me just do one thing. Let us do this case study before doing the next topic. So we are on page number 1.19. This case study. Rohit, Gurpreet, Ali and Goretti. So Abhijit is saying, ma'am, whether it is related to audit fees. See, audit fees is a separate thing. Obviously, if auditor is providing any auditing service, you will see in the next topic that we'll be covering about engagement, audit engagement. So when auditor is providing any auditing services, fees will be there. But ऐसा नहीं है that because of this auditor will give any inappropriate opinion. That is a separate thing. So quickly go through this case study. We are on page number 1.19. So these are friends and they have cleared CA foundation exam in same attempt and now plan to appear for CA intermediate exams. All of them are avid news listeners and regularly keep track of business news even on social media. They are trying to understand new concepts, right? Just read till here. During one informal get-together, their discussion centered around new subject of auditing. They discussed many things regarding the nature, scope, benefits, and other general practical issues. Goretti was regular in keeping track of audited results of companies being published in leading newspaper. Her view was that audited financial statement of companies give 100% guarantee to different stakeholders. It is the main reason behind so much reliance upon auditing. But she could not understand why wrongdoings in financial matters are being discovered after many years have gone by. Ali also concurred with her view, agreed with her view, and added that when financial statements are audited, each and every transaction appearing in books of accounts is verified. However, he could not give clarity to Goretti. Gurpreet was of the opinion that audit was conducted on the basis of sample checking. He was also of the view that audited financial statements are not a guarantee against probable wrongdoings in the financial statements of the company. Not to be left behind, Rohit also jumped in the fray. He supported Gurpreet and also added something of his own. Right? Based on the above, answer the following questions. Gurpreet was of the view that audited financial statements are not a guarantee against probable wrongdoings in financial matters of companies. What kind of assurance does audit of financial statement provide? Quickly go through this question and send me your replies. So please send in your replies with respect to question number 1. Gurpreet was of the view that audited financial statements are not a guarantee against probable wrongdoings in financial matters of companies. Quickly send in your replies. So almost all the students have answered it correctly. Gurpreet was of the view that audited financial statements are not a guarantee against probable wrongdoing in financial matters. What kind of assurance does audit of financial statement provide? It provides reasonable assurance, meaning a moderate level. So this is not correct. Why? Because reasonable, the meaning of reasonable is not moderate. Provides reasonable assurance, meaning low level, which is absolutely not correct. Provides reasonable assurance, meaning high level of assurance. This appears to be correct, but let us read the next point. It provides reasonable assurance, meaning absolute level, which is also not correct. So reasonable level is what? Higher level of assurance. So the answer to this is C, and many of you have answered, all of you have answered it correctly. So I can see a number of replies. Anmol, Komal, Omar. Meanwhile, students, read second question. Tushar, Bhumika, Om, Ritu, Yugender, Sunny, Tushar, Ayushi, Gunjan, Ghosh, Swati, Anjali, all are correct. Malekar, Tamanna. Swati has mentioned reasonable assurance meaning high level. Absolutely correct. For second, the answer is correct. Almost all of you. So let me just read the second question for you. Rohit added that auditor can force an employee of the company to provide him with the required information documents. Can he do so? We have just done. Auditor cannot as such force. Yes, he can do so. It is necessary to obtain audit evidence, which is not correct. Yes, he can do so. These are express rights given to him in this respect, which is not correct. No, he cannot do so. He can only request for providing him with necessary information and documents, but it cannot be forced by him. So this appears to be correct, but let us read the next point also. No, he cannot do so. He has no right of seeking information and documents if a question of forcing does not arise, which is not correct. Because right is there, but it cannot be, as such, he cannot force the management. So the answer is C. So all of you are correct. Quickly send in your replies for D, for which Komal has already answered, and the answer, her answer is correct also. Ali has listed in one of the listened in one of the classes that audit covers all aspects of entity and concluded that each and every transaction of entity is verified by auditor. Each and every transaction. Goretti also seems to be in agreement with him, but he was of the view that besides this, it is also meant that audit should be so organized to cover all areas of an entity. Which of the statements is appropriate in this regard? Students, please do not look at the answers given at the back. Try to give the answers on your own. So you need to understand that this question is asking for 2 points, whether the point of view of Ali is correct and whether the point of view of Goretti is correct, or whether both are correct or incorrect. So see, let us read this. Ali has listened in one of the audit classes that it covers all aspects of an entity. First of all aspects related, relevant to financial statements, if you remember. So here he is not correct. And that each and every transaction of the entity is verified, which is not possible because it is not necessary, right? In case of large organizations where there is volume of transactions, see, where there are limited transaction, auditor can check all the transactions, but where there are huge number of transactions, then sampling will be there. So Ali is not correct. Okay. Goretti also seemed to be in agreement with him, but he was of the view that beside this, it also meant that audit should be so organized to cover all areas. So will audit cover HR department also, production department also? No, so far as it is relevant for the financial statements. So the view of Goretti is also not correct. So both are incorrect. Answer is D. Students who are writing B, please check your answer. The answer to this MCQ third is D. So whoever has written B, please check your answers and resend the correct answer. Two students have written wrong answers. I hope it is clear. Check your answers. So the fourth point, all of them were discussing the benefits. See, when we were discussing about auditing, I told you that what are the various benefits or who are the intended users. See, whoever will be the user of the audited financial statement, the benefit will accrue to them only, na? That shareholders will be able to know what is the position. It will act as a moral check on the employees that it should not, if any fraud they commit, it will get detected. So we have almost covered this topic. So let us just do this MCQ also. All of them also discuss about the benefits of auditing. Which of the following is not likely to be a benefit of auditing? Seeing auditors is connected to future events, audited information can be easily relied upon by users. So this appears to be incorrect. Let us read the other options also. Errors or frauds may be discovered during audit. This as such is correct. Government authorities can make use of audited accounts for different purposes. This appears to be correct. It, as in, this is one of the benefits. It can help in bringing out deficiencies and in maintaining the financial record. This also appears to be one of the benefits. But this point, since auditing is connected to future events, audited information can be easily relied upon, because we have seen, in fact, future events is one of the inherent limitations of audit. So this is not likely. Students, see, it often happens that here it is mentioned what, which is not the likely, but it might happen that you just read that which is a likely benefit, and then you reach at the second point, B point, and you tick on B point. It often happens with students. So be careful when you're reading the MCQs. Just read the question in entirety and read all the options. Then mark the correct answer. So the answer is A, and most of you have written the correct answer. So I've received answer for fifth question also. Ritu has given the answer for fifth. Om, Krishna Om, Anmol, Garvit, Ghosh, Supraja. You all are correct. Komal, absolutely correct. So Goretti told her friends that she had read a news report about how a company has misled its auditor by producing some fabricated documents. Which of the following statements seem to be appropriate? So correct, Hana? Which of the statement is correct? It is not asking which is incorrect. So read the question properly. Point A, option A, it was wrong on the part of auditor to rely upon fabricated documents. He must have discovered it, as the same falls within the scope of his audit. See, this point is not as such correct. Hana, this is not appropriate, because auditor is not an expert in checking the genuineness of documents. Although it was wrong on the part of auditor to rely on fabricated documents, he cannot do anything in the matter. He has to report on the basis of the documents provided to him. He has no duty in this regard. See, this is also not correct. Auditor has to conduct audit by exercising professional skill, but he is not an expert in discovering genuineness of documents. Hence, management consisting of dishonest person may have led him to rely upon fabricated documents deliberately. This appears to be correct, but let us read the D point also. Management cannot mislead auditor due to high level of knowledge and expertise possessed by him. The above is an outliner case, none of the rare odd cases. Sorry, case one of the rare odd cases. That is, this is an exception, which is not correct, right? Because auditor is not checking the genuineness, authentication of a document is outside the scope of the auditor because he is not an expert in that field. So auditor, he needs to exercise professional skill and competence when he is conducting the audit, but he is not an expert in discovering the genuineness or authentication of documents. So I hope it is clear. Quickly send in your replies, students. Then we will do one or two small topics, and then we'll end the session for today. Is it clear? Send in your replies. Inherent limitations. See, you can always get a 4-mark question on, let's say, nature of financial reporting. So there you will be explaining this nature of financial reporting in detail, or a 4 or 3-mark question, nature of audit report, or a 4-mark question on the inherent limitations. So then of audit, then you will be writing like this. Okay, is it clear? See, if you get a 4-marker question for nature of financial reporting, and there if you write all these points, then that is not going to fetch you good marks, Hana. Be specific. Don't write general answers. Don't write pages. So there was a doubt of a student that, ma'am, what content is to be written? See, whatever is required, whatever is given in your module with respect to that point. So give specific answers. Don't give general answers. Right? So what is engagement? So the dictionary meaning says what? Arrangement to do something. See, when we may refer to audit assignment as what? Audit engagement. So that is why we are reading this term, and this is given on page number 1.17. See, we cannot, Abhijit is saying, ma'am, what kind of question should we expect, inherent limitation or subpoints? See, this is very uncertain, right? So what I can expect from all of you is that you will go through the entire module. You will go through the entire chapter, and that will help you in writing answers to all the questions, be it if you are required to write the entire answer to inherent limitation, or be it the specific answer to the nature of financial reporting. So what I was telling you was that if you are being asked regarding nature of financial reporting, then write the answer specific to that point only. Okay? Abhijit, is it clear? So engagement. So the dictionary meaning says arrangement to do something, right? Arrangement or agreement to do something. So what is when we consider engagement from the point of view of audit, that is audit engagement. So this is basically a formal arrangement between the auditor and the client, under which the auditor agrees to provide what? Auditing services. And it will be through what? Engagement letter. Okay? So this is a formal arrangement, formal agreement between the auditor and the client, under which auditor agrees to give what? Auditing services. Simple. External audit engagement. So external audit engagement, the auditor is external to the entity. So here we are not talking about internal audit. We are talking about statutory audit. When an independent body, CA firm is conducting the audit of ABC Limited in our example. So why? Because the purpose is to enhance the confidence of the intended users, and this is going to give what? Reasonable assurance. For example, every company is required to get their accounts audited. Tell me, why will non-corporate entities, let's say, who are not compulsorily required by law to get their accounts audited, why will they get the accounts audited? If they voluntarily want, first of all, though, is getting the financial statements audited by an auditor on a voluntary basis. Is it possible? So the answer is yes. Now, why will, let's say there is a partnership firm. Why will it get its account voluntarily audit? Yes, Anmol is saying to get benefit of, he's saying, government policies. Yes, this can be possible. So I can say, because there are various benefits of audit. There are various benefits of audit, because of which the entities may decide, the management of the entities may decide to get their accounts voluntarily audit. Okay? So the next topic that we are going to cover is what? Benefits of audit. See, whoever are the users of financial statements, audited financial statement, you all know: shareholders, employees, government authorities, creditors, bankers, they are going to benefit from the audit of the benefit of the audited financial statement. See, first and foremost, the benefit of audit is it provides high quality information and enhances the confidence of the users. See, an auditor who is an expert in auditing and accounting, he has conducted the examination of the financial information. Obviously, the quality of such information is going to be high, which in turn will increase the confidence of the users of the financial statement. No, Yugender is saying, ma'am, is audit report always favorable to the company? See, in your chapter number 8, when we'll be discussing about opinion, the essays of 700 series, you will see that there are 3 types of opinion that the auditor can give. So what are those opinions that we'll discuss when we'll be doing that chapter? Okay? Then shareholders. Why? Because their money is invested. Management is using that money. Management is using that money in the projects. Management is preparing the financial statement. It might be possible that management is not showing the correct picture. So in order to ensure that their interest is safeguarded, interest in the form of their money, which has been given to the management to run the company. So this is one of the benefit of the audited financial statement to shareholders. Moral check on employees. If employees are aware that any time auditor can just unveil their fraud, so it acts as a moral check on employees. Government authorities. Why? In order to calculate what? Tax liabilities. Bankers, lenders. Why? In order to take what? The credit decision, whether the loan to that party is to be given or not. And when the audit has been conducted, it helps to detect the fraud and error. Further, you all know that we have discussed that auditor also examines what? The internal control when he intends to rely on the internal control. Auditor also checks the internal control. So the existence and operation of internal control, whether the internal control is actually in place and it is operating effectively throughout the year, or such audit helps in pointing out the deficiencies in the internal control system. Simple hai na? See, auditor can always tell the management that, see, you have implemented this internal control, but this is not actually operating effectively. This will help the management itself. So tell me, is it clear? This topic benefits. Quickly tell me. And this topic of audit, whether it is mandatory or voluntary, I am giving this to you as a homework. Please read this. We have discussed it a number of times. So it basically says it is not legally mandatory for all the entities to get the audit done of their financial statement, but companies are required. Non-corporate entities, they may be required under tax laws. maybe school is required to obtain any grant or assistance from government authorities and voluntarily audit why they may get voluntarily audit of their financial statement for because of the benefits of the audit. Who appoints an auditor? Again, consider this as a homework. So basically, see, whoever is the owner of the company, owner of the entity, they appoint the auditor, or maybe some constitutional government authority if required by law or regulation. For example, companies के case में who are the owners? The shareholders. See, don't write management here. Management has prepared the financial statement. Shareholders have given their money to the management. So shareholders want to get the audited financial statements in order to see whether their interest is safeguarded or not. So shareholders who are the owners of the company, they select the auditor, they appoint the auditor in the annual general meeting. Government company के case में it is what? The Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Who is Comptroller and Auditor General of India? It is an independent constitutional body who appoints the auditor of the government company. Abhi ke liye try to understand this. When we'll be doing the topic of government audit in detail, we will discuss it. Firms may, who are the owner in a partnership firm? Who is the owner? The partners. So the partners appoint the auditor and government authority may appoint under the tax laws. Simple. Then to whom the report is submitted? The person who has made the appointment. For example, shareholders के case में companies के case में it is the shareholders and firms के case में it is the partner. ठीक है? So see students, I'll upload. So first of all, I hope whatever we have done in your module till page number 1.21, we have covered all the topics in entirety. Whatever homework also I have given, I have discussed with you. But see, my request to all of you is please make full advantage of these sessions. These are organized for your benefit, for your revision. And that will not be possible unless and until you do the homework and you go through the module. So it is not a big task. We have done only till page number 1.21. You can, after this session, just spend half an hour, 45 minutes to go through the module and just try to recapitulate as to what we have done and try to remember the keywords and the definitions the way I have told you. Try to summarize. Right? Students, please make use of these sessions. And I'm telling you again, it will be not of any use unless and until you give your 100%. You are making the session interactive. That is very good on your part. But now the homework part, that is you need to go through the module for sure. Once or twice, at least once. I assure you that if you go through the module, this chapter from the module, after this session, each and every topic will get imbibed here and you will be able to answer the MCQs. 30 marks will be going to be very easy for you. I'll take the doubts. Vivek, if possible, please write that doubt in the chat box. If not, then I'll just unmute you. Let me just finish up. Right? So please do the homework, go through the module till page number 1.21. And students, see, these are the notes that I have made. These are the summaries that I have made in my own language, right? I've taken you through the module also, some paragraphs like with respect to financial reporting. My purpose was to make it easy for you to make summaries on your own because you will be in a position to understand the summaries that you make in your own language and in your modules now. If you just go through just a minute. See, in your module, ample space is there. Here you can write the keywords or here you can always, mark the, circle the keywords or use a highlighter. So try to make summaries on your own. Otherwise, I'll be uploading the MCQs, the case scenario, the questions that we are going to discuss in detail. Okay? Let me just take just a minute. Let me just take 2 questions which I wanted to discuss quick or one question I'll discuss. Let us discuss this third point. Third question. Messrs. Kumar Khanna and Associates have been appointed as the statutory auditors of Renika Sugars Limited for the financial year ending 31st March 2024. The engagement partner for the audit assignment is CA Hari Kumar. One of the engagement team members who was a new joinee in the team asked CA Hari to explain as to what is included in the scope of audit. What should CA Hari explain? Now tell me what all you are going to write if it is a 4-mark question. Quickly send in your replies. So there is a doubt of Anmol with respect to benefits of audit. Anmol, I'll do one thing. I'll discuss that point in the next session before starting with the topic for that day, which is on Monday now. So please remind me of this doubt. So quickly send in a reply. So we all have done what? Scope of audit. And now it is not asking what is included and what is not included. It is asking for what? Scope. Only what is to be included. Swati, check your answer. What this answer is not related with the question I'm asking. I'm asking about third question. Yes. So maybe that was some misunderstanding. Write the answer to this. So what is included? There are 4 points. If you remember, it is given in. Let me just see if you have made summaries now, that is going to help you a lot. Try to summarize in your own language. So covering all aspects of the entity relevant to the financial statement being audited, reliability and sufficiency of financial information, proper disclosure of financial information, and expression of an opinion of financial statement. Now, making a table like this won't fetch you marks, full marks. You will have to explain each and everything in one, like 2 or 3 lines, specifically mentioning the keywords. Yes, Garvit, you are correct. Siri, you are also correct. Gunjan, you are correct. See, now students are saying whether financial statements are made correctly. See, these are general answers. Hana? And then you feel that, okay, I have written good answer, but I did not get the marks because you have written what general answers. This is what a specific answer, because what is to be included in the scope is being asked for. So Vivek, you may ask your question. You may unmute yourself. Vivek, you have raised your hand. Yeah. Vivek, I could not hear what you said. If there is some network issue, you can just send in your query in the chat box. Kiran Bala, please ask your question.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good
There's a
evening.
question in September 24 examination related to this chapter only. This is
Okay.
question 1C.
Okay.
इसमें वो he's asking कि managers want the auditor to shall be responsible for detecting the frauds that may happen in the company during the financial year.
Sorry, please repeat. This is in September 24. What is the question number?
C. 1C.
Sorry. 1C.
1C, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
Kiran,
I want to know what should I write for this?
so we will do one thing specifically for this question in the next session before starting the topic for that day. I'll take up that question specifically. I'll try to write the answer and share with you.
Okay,
This is September 24.
exam.
Can you
So
please repeat?
Ma'am, I appeared in September 24 examination but did not do
Okay,
well. So
right.
I'm just very apprehensive, feel like crying. So what should I
No
do?
problem. You just write the question number in the chat box. Next session may I'll just show you as to how the answer for that question is supposed to be written. Just write the
So,
question, specific question in the chat box.
okay,
Right?
ma'am, but should I attend these classes or I should do something else? Because,
Sorry.
should I attend these classes? Is these classes for me or
Yes,
should I
these
take
are
them
for
out?
your benefit only. So you can attend, you should attend these revisionary classes for the January 2025 exam.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, Kiran, write the question in the chat box. Other students also,
Okay.
Vivek, your volume is not, your voice was not clear. Please write the query in the chat box. So I hope students, since it is already 7 minutes more than the scheduled time, so it's better that I'll wind up for the today session. So students, we have done till page number 1.21, and I'll request you all again to please go through the module till page number 1.21. I assure you that if you give this chapter a reading today itself, you are going to remember this chapter for sure, right? And I hope that you have enjoyed this session. Thank you for making this session interactive. See you in the next session, but with your homework, with the reading of the entire module. Thank you for your patient listening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.